What's going on, y'all? Dante562. Today I wanted to talk about Adrian, the problem Broner, versus Antonio Demarco, possibly in November. You know, this is a fight I'm really looking forward to. I feel that, you know, even though Adrian Broner already has all the pressure on his back of being the next superstar, this would definitely make him official. This will be his coming out party, you know, when it comes to being considered a serious, legitimate champion. Okay? I mean, we got to give props out to Adrian Broner for basically doing the total opposite of what, you know, Canelo Alvarez has been doing. You know what I'm saying? Adrian Broner, he has half the fights that Canelo has, and he's the exact same age as Canelo, and yet Adrian Broner is calling out everybody and they mama and they damn grandmama. You feel me? He ain't trying to look for an easy way out. He ain't going out looking for, you know, past their prime featherweights to fight. You know what I mean? Or even decent featherweights. Adrian Broner, to be honest, I got to be honest with you, he shocked me. Because I will say about a year ago when he was talking all this, saying it don't matter who they put me in the ring with, I'm going to look the same. You know, every time he was saying that at first, I was like, okay, motherfucker. Then if they all going to look the same, then step your game up. Let me see you fight somebody. Let me see you call somebody out. Lo and behold, all of a sudden, this motherfucker, he does it. You feel me? I mean, let's look at the three opponents. Before I even get into Demarco and talking about him, let's just look at the three opponents that Broner called out. Juan Manuel Marquez. Marquez is considered, pound for pound, the best Mexican fighter in the entire world. For starters, right? Then he calls out Antonio Demarco. Demarco is Ring Magazine's #1 best lightweight in the world. Okay? Then he calls out undefeated Brandon Rios. You feel me? Now, obviously, you know, if you know anything about boxing, it would seem that Brandon Rios, he is tailor-made, but the motherfucker does pack a wallop. He packs a punch, and he beat good-ass fighters, you know. He knocked out Anthony Peterson, and I know that fight was a DQ, but I'm calling that a knockout because, you know, Anthony Peterson, he pulled some fucking Victor Ortiz shit. He tried to find a way out. You feel me? And then, so he fought him, knocked him out. Then he knocked out Acosta, you know. So even though I know that, you know, Broner would fucking beat the hell out of whatchamacallit, Brandon Rios, these are the three people that Adrian Broner has called out. You feel me? So that is very impressive. Not looking for the easy way out is very, very impressive. Okay? Now let's talk about Demarco a little bit. Now, you know, what I find interesting about all of these fighters that Adrian Broner called out is, as amazing as it is, it seems to me none of these three fighters have seemed really eager to get in the ring with Broner at all. You feel me? It's really strange because usually with Adrian Broner being the big star, you know, he's the biggest star. You know, they got his highlights on HBO already. They replaced his highlights when HBO comes on. They replace his highlights, I should say they replace Gamboa's highlights with Broner. You feel me? That is saying a lot when it comes to HBO. Okay? That means they have high expectations. Adrian Broner is a tremendous star in the making. Now, like I said, what's interesting and surprising to me is usually it's the no-name fighters or the fighters that have a smaller name that are looking for that same star power that the big star has. Usually, they are the ones that's calling out all of these big names. But as funny as it is, it's the other way around in this situation. Adrian Broner is actually the one calling out the legitimate, fighters and champions with the smaller names. Of course, everybody except for Marquez. But what I'm talking about Brandon Rios and Antonio Demarco, right? And to make it even more shocking, See, a lot of people don't pay attention to little detail like this. I see this shit like a goddamn, like I'm looking through a magnifying glass. You feel me? Now look at Antonio Demarco. After he knocked out his last opponent, John Molina, right? Okay, they ask him, do you want to fight Adrian Broner? He puts on a big ass smile. He kind of like, shakes his head like in a, in a funny way. And he says, yeah, anytime, whenever if Adrian Broner wants it, we can do it. And all of this, right? Number one, what do you mean if Adrian Broner wants it? Don't you want it, Demarco? Right? It's the first thing that I peeped out, right? So, yeah, he's like, yeah, I'll take that fight, blah, 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 this, blah, blah, that, right? A couple days go on, after the fight that he just had, right? And all of a sudden, I'm reading an article, them talking about Demarco on his thoughts on Adrian Broner and blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that, right? What's funny when it came to this interview is 3 times in the article, Antonio Demarco, he says, as long as the money is right, as long as the money is right. Yeah, at the beginning of the article. Yeah, we can fight, as long as the money is right. You scroll down to the middle of the article. Yeah, like I said, I'll take that fight as long as the money is right. Then you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the article. And then it's funny because this time, he reiterates, his point. And he says, yeah, like I said, though, but it's very important. As long as the money is right, we can make this fight. Let me tell you guys something. Like I said, man, I'm real good when it comes to language and body language. When you hear a person emphasize money issues this much, there's a very good indication that this man is uncomfortable fighting the likes of Adrian Broner. Okay? Not only is he uncomfortable, but he doesn't have confidence that he could possibly win that fight, is what I see. Why do I say that? I'm going to tell you why. Once again, for people around my age, do you guys remember back in the day, because I was a real youngin' when Mike Tyson was a star, but when Mike Tyson was a big star, knocking motherfuckers out, I was real young, and I just remember my older cousins and friends, they used to always make that joke. They'd be like, hey nigga, would you fight Mike Tyson for $1 million? They all start laughing. Hell yeah, nigga, I'll do it. Yeah, I would do it. Hell yeah, I'll be in the hospital, broken jaw, black eye, but I'll be smiling with that check in my hand, nigga, saying all that kind of shit, right? So they would always, talk like this. And, we all know why people would ask that question when it came to Mike Tyson, right? Because we knew realistically, as just normal citizens, we knew that stepping in the ring with the baddest man in the planet, that is a knockout artist, we knew that you were going in there to get your ass whooped. You were going in there to lose. But the question was, how much is an ass whooping really worth? Right? That was the question. You weren't going in there to try to pull off the upset. You were going in there to win. You were going in there to lose and collect a check. You feel me? This is exactly what it sounds like with Antonio Demarco when he's talking about Adrian Broner. All of a sudden, the money got to be right. The money got to be right. Since when has the money had to be right, Antonio? The money didn't have to be right when you was fighting against John Molina. You feel me? The money didn't have to be right when you were fighting against other fighters. Why is it now? Yeah, I get in the ring with him for that money. You feel me? Why is it now it's got to be, the money has to be right? And then I heard one of his advisors say, yeah, Antonio grew up real poor, eating out of trash cans or some bullshit they said. So he has to really be compensated for a fight at this magnitude, right? See, this is the thing. The whole thing is, when you hear people talking like that, what they're basically suggesting, what they're basically saying is, I don't have enough confidence to assure that I'm going to beat this guy. So if I'm going to lose to this guy, a la Mike Tyson, if I'm going to lose to this guy, I better get fucking really compensated for it. Because if I'm going to lose and get my ass whooped to Adrian Broner, and I walk away with $1 million, $250,000, some substantial amount of money that I've never made before, then the ass whooping was worth it. You feel me? So what I'm telling you guys right now is I believe that Antonio Demarco is afraid. If Antonio Demarco was not afraid, this fight would have been signed already. About 2 weeks ago, they were talking about Oscar's trying to make the fight, but it's not a done deal yet. Don't get me wrong. This fight, hopefully, but trust me, guys, I'm pulling for this fight because this would be a very entertaining fight to watch. Demarco is damn good. Adrian Broner is damn good. You feel me? So I want to see the fight, but and it may actually happen. But I'm just telling you guys right now that Demarco, he does not want this fight, and he may end up getting pushed into this fight. They shove enough money in his face, he's not going to have any excuse but to take the fight. So that's really what's going on right now. Is dollars and common sense right now. Demarco is really looking at this like, if I'm going to take a chance of losing to this guy, I want to make sure I am fucking paid, because this is my career on the line. If I lose to this guy, I drop down a notch and I got to work my way back up. So let me get paid if that's going to happen. This is what I see when Antonio talks about this. What trips me out is, as high profile as these three fighters are, it's very stunning and surprising that none of these fighters seemed eager to actually fight against Broner. Think about it. When Adrian Broner called these three fighters out, look at how all of them responded. None of them responded as if, Pacquiao was calling you out or Floyd Mayweather was calling you out. The reason why I say that is because you guys have to understand something. Broner is, like I said before, he's a bigger star than Brandon Rios, Antonio Demarco, and he's just, I wouldn't say he's as big as Marquez, but he's almost on that level, But Demarco and Rios in particular, it's surprising to me that they have a big marquee opponent that is going to pay them more than they have ever been paid before, who is calling them out, and look at how they responded. Wow. That's something else to me. Brandon Rios, when he found out Broner called him out, he was like, oh, yeah, that fight will probably never happen because we're promoted by different companies and shit like that. Since when does a fucking fighter say some shit like that? You might hear a manager say that. You might even hear a promoter make an excuse to try to avoid that fighter and say some shit like that. But you never hear the actual fighter say some shit like that. This is what Brandon Rios said out of his own fucking mouth. You feel me? When Antonio Demarco first found out that Broner was calling him out, he was like, that's he said, well, it's good to know that I'm relevant to him. And, that was all he really said. But then he was like, yeah, but, I'm focused on John Molina. And he said nothing about it, right? Juan Manuel Marquez never acknowledged Adrian Broner. You feel me? It's amazing to me. Like I said before, it is very uncommon that the big name, the fighter that will bring you big money, he's the one doing the calling out. He's the one calling out the fighters. And the fighters, with the smaller names or even equal names, they are the ones that, are basically non-responsive. Funny, man. Fucking comical to me. Very comical to me. So, I know I'm going to get the Marquez fans and, the other fans is going to sit over here. That's bullshit, man. They're not afraid of him. They just want the money to be right, and they just want, this and that, and they're going to beat him up, and they're going to, Mark is going to destroy him, and Demarco's going to knock him out, and, and talking about Ponce de Leon. Oh, let's not forget what happened with Ponce de Leon. Like I said, let me bring that up, because I know I'm going to get some people bringing that shit up. Whenever there's a Broner fight, there's always, a Mexican fan who says, Ponce de Leon, look what he did to him. Now, let me be real with you guys. You know what I'm saying? To a certain extent, you have a little bit of a point. All right? But this is where the point makes no sense. See, when you have a consistency of when you are consistent when it comes to looking bad or showing a particular flaw, then you could say, well, you know what? I think this guy is hyped because look how he looked against so and so, so and so, so and so. Then it makes more sense to bring up, a fighter's flaws because he has a pattern of looking a certain way. But since the De Leon fight, Broner has looked fantastic. He has looked fantastic. Okay? He has been fighting undefeated fighters. He's been fighting young fighters. He has been looking fantastic. Okay? So we can't really go off of one fight. When it comes to somebody like Nonito Donaire, right? And you look at his last 3 fights, Vasquez, Navarez, Matabula, you know what I'm saying? Donaire, he looked vulnerable and suspect in all 3 of those fights. So it's more easier to say, now this guy looks suspect. But with Adrian Broner, it was only one performance, and Adrian didn't get beat up. He didn't get hurt and almost got knocked out. What happened was, like I said, Ponce de Leon was fighting that very, very technical, safety first, counter punching. Every once in a blue moon, Ponce de Leon would jump in with a combination. He'll jump back out, and he won't punch for a while. And this is what kind of gave Broner problems. I think it also has something to do with Broner being on a big stage fighting on HBO in Mexico for the very, very first time. And I think he had butterflies. He knew the pressure was on his back, and he had to perform. But I think ever since then, and especially ever since the Litzau fight, he's been more aggressive. He's been wanting. You could tell he feeds off of the stardom. He's feeding off of wanting to be the next Floyd Mayweather, wanting to be the next pound for pound star. You feel me? So basically, that's really all I got to say about that. Like I said, this will be an excellent fight. I would not be surprised if Demarco turns the fight down. I'm praying to God they throw enough money in Demarco's face for him to take this fight, because if he does, it will be extremely impressive. Okay? Whoever wins that fight, and don't get me wrong, Demarco has a chance to win that fight as well, because we have never seen Adrian Broner fight a guy on this level. So we're going to see if he's going to step up, just like a Floyd Mayweather stepped up when he fought Diego Corrales, when he fought, Janelle Hernandez, when he fought Angel Manfredi, you know what I'm saying? When he fought these fighters at a young age. Okay? So let's see if he steps his game up. Let's see who's going to step their game up. All right? So that's really all I got to say on this one. I'm on to the next one, y'all.